Reduced relative clauses. If we look at these sentences, the first man to arrive at the place of the crime was our local police officer. The last man to talk to in such circumstances is your father. I want a tool to fix the sink with. We all want a decent place to live in. So, in all these sentences, we find an infinitive to arrive, to talk, to fix that comes right after a noun, which is generally can be converted into a full relative clause. If we look at the structure of this phrase, we find that, for example, the first, the specifier, then we have had as man, and post modifier as to arrive at the place of the crime. So, to arrive at the place of crime, the infinitive phrase modifies the head man, and similarly, a decent place to live in post modifies this place. The two constructions serve as post modifiers and can be changed into full relative clauses. For example, the first man who arrived at the place of the crime. So, who arrived at the place of crime? We have changed the first man to arrive, right? So, the two constructions used in 155 to 159 are called reduced relative clauses. Instead of infinitive, they can also be, or instead of two constructions, they can also be given with other types of verb. Full relative clause introduced by who, which are finite, but the post modifying strings in 155 and 159 on the other hand with two constructions are non-finite. So when we have a full relative clause, it is finite, and when it is reduced, it is non-finite, right? If we look at this, we can have present participle or we can have past participle form of the verb to be used as the reduced relative clauses. So the train arriving at platform 7. So arriving is a present participle. The guy wearing those old clothes, none of the guests invited. So here we have past participle. So non-finite clauses above are either restrictive or non-restrictive. So we can have similarly, the Pope warned not to go to Poland, and the Princess of Wales haunted by the press. So here we can find that a reduced relative clause is also either restrictive or non-restrictive. Essentially, the reduced relative clause may also have avert or non-avert subject as well as a noun avert relative element in complementizer after movement indicated by 0, which binds a gap indicated by and dash. Whenever we bring a verb, any form of the verb to fill any gap in the sentence, for example, we have seen to construction, then we have seen ing and past participle. They are actually verbs and they need any subject of reference, right? So we must have a subject. So sometimes this subject is avert and sometimes it is non-avert. All these non-avert positions are assumed on the basis of corresponding avert position in other parallel clauses. So we know that since it's a part of a relative clause and the relative clause was a finite clause, and in finite clause there was a subject. So even if we have a reduced relative clause, we do believe that either there is an avert or there is a non-avert subject of reference or a noun phrase.